Howdy ho, welcome back to Church with Bo, family. May the Lord bless us all and help us all be guided on the pathways of more blessings, more health, more wealth, manifestation of our dreams and of our goals. And may the Lord grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. People, amen, amen. Hit it the three times. Love, peace, unity, respect to everybody. Welcome back. Welcome if it's your first episode. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody. So, had a big week last week. I know it's this one's a little late, but I'll try to drop another one by Saturday or Sunday this week. Um, Cuddy Joe, who we had on last episode, had a Song Wars contest where he and a producer that he works with out of the studio he's at, Danny Boy Styles, judged a song contest where me and about 10, 11 others were sending in three of our favorite songs of ours that were, hopefully already released. And him and Danny Boy, who is one of the Weeknd's main producers, he did a lot of stuff for Nav. He made Often with the Weeknd, Acquainted, a lot of, I think it's called whatever was on the trilogy, the third one of the trilogy album, and the whole trilogy, everything from like Kissland on. And they were judging based on, I believe, sound quality, creativity, and something else. I don't remember. So it got heated. It was a lot of really talented people in there who I definitely look up to and did not see myself as being better than at all, honestly. I was I went into it kind of confident, like, I work a lot. I think I got this. And then I start hearing the first three, four plus, and I'm like, okay, if these people are making this shit by themselves, especially, I am in a different bracket, in the lower league. They might be S tier, I might be A tier. But it was out of 15, they were giving us scores, and only me and one other guy, this guy Jamo, if you ever see this, respect, hit me up somehow. Let's make some music together. Me and Jamo were the only ones who got 15 out of 15, right? So they decided to have a sudden death round, send one more final song in, and we'll pick out of these two. We give it time. We give it more time. It was like 10, 15 minutes we waited. Jamo was nowhere to be found. He wasn't replying in the Discord. I was in the Discord. He wasn't replying in the Twitch stream. I was in Discord with Joe and a few of the other people that were in there. Jamo had joined and left. We thought he was still on stream. I mod the stream, so I was looking at it, couldn't see JMO's name anywhere, but it's happened before where I think somebody's not in here and they type a second later, it'll pop up. So I was like, oh, if he's here, I'm down, cool, whatever. He wasn't. So we found the next best guy who got, I think, 14 out of 15, Dead. And Dead sent us, I think it's Undead. I'm not sure on his artist name. Super talented artist. He said he's been singing and doing music since he was like really little, like classically trained. I was intimidated, not gonna lie. But they decided to put Dead up against me, and we each sent a song in. I sent a song called Life. It's really fun. It's like a very swingy beat. I go, life every fucking day. I live this shit, right? This shit okay, yeah. Okay, okay, okay. And it's like a nice back and forth swingy bobby type of song. You can slow dance or kind of, speed slow twerk with your girl real quick, or have your girl speed slow twerking on you while you whining and grinding, hitting the Jamaican booyakasha. And Dead sent like it was more of like an emotional song. It was like really deep. That shit was raw. I'm not gonna lie. When we finished, Joe said, regardless of what happens, I'm gonna need that song for an outro for like all my streams, Dad, please. And needless to say, they picked my song. I won. I was very happy. Cuddy Joe sent me $100 immediately. Apple paid it with no delay, man. Love that. That was beautiful. And they said that everybody who was involved was so talented and they were so surprised that they were probably, I mean, I think originally they were probably only going to have like the top three or something if everybody wasn't good or, sonically there. They were probably only going to ask the top three people to do a project with them after, we'll work out the details, but they invited everyone. Said, everyone here, if you're willing to, we will figure it out. We'll send you some beats with open verses. You can send us back just your 2-track or your little vocal recording, as long as it's not, peaking up and down all around. It'll work. And we'll make a project for everybody who was involved. And this is also going to be like a pretty regular thing. I don't know if they'll do the song wars like that every time, but next it's like they're having a little master beat meet, little master beat off, where like, all the best beat makers in or that he can find are going to be helping judge and look at these. And it's like a lot of crazy producers in and around the studio, not to mention if he can get some of his other friends from, other states or LA out, could be sick. And they're gonna have us being the contestants send in beats. If we make beats, you send your 3 favorite beats or whatever, and then we'll judge them. We'll, see like what's going on. Is it panned right? Is it, obviously it should come correctly, but basically they're going to try to find like little stuff that we can change. If like, the kicks aren't tuned, or the 808s would sound better, and this whole beat might sound better if you just tune the 808s to the right key, type of thing. Yeah, it's really exciting. Joe's one of my good friends since middle school, pre-teens, and to see him doing this shit and really putting it together how he is not just impressive, but it's like it's motivating. It makes me want to do shit. And the fact that I can be a part of it, even just as a mod and doing these little contests where I can, I'm eternally grateful. I love that shit. It's a beautiful, beautiful struggle. I'm glad I get to be a part of it, So, yep, I've been waiting on a word from them about the album and how we're going to do that, what they need from me exactly. But I have been talking to Joe in Discord pretty much daily and keeping up to date on what's going on with streams and everything since I'm modding. And it looks like, it seems promising. You know, I've had so many promising moments in life at this point at 30 years old that even when something is like happening and amazing, like during the contest, after they told me I'd won, after Joe sent me $100, I'm still just like, yeah, okay. Like, still ready to do another thing or, go head to head with somebody else before something is, set in stone because a lot of opportunities will present themselves throughout your life, and they seem like great things that may be exactly what you need, or it might give you the finance you need to feel more comfortable or safer. It might put you in a position where you're doing something you love every day instead of having to work a 9 to 5 to support what you love to do. And every time one of these things fall through after being, setting myself up for disappointment, it just gets a little worse every time. And every time after, you become a little more hesitant to believe any of it. It's like, why? Why would anything nice ever happen? This is crazy. But yeah, it was excellent. I loved it. It's not going to change anything ultimately. Still going to work the same, still going to be modding the same, and working on music just the same regardless. If anything, I appreciate the confirmation that it gets. Like I told Dan, I work by myself and I'm so caught up in like going to my jeweler job and then coming home and having like 4 or 5 hours to myself before I gotta go to sleep, or else I'm gonna wake up feeling like shit and it's gonna keep rolling forward. I get caught up in a hyperbolic time chamber. They'll make music, make more music, mix, master, release, and I talk to like 4 or 5 people usually. And a lot of the times they'll just yes and me, like, yeah, and it's good. And like, what are you expecting? Like, what do you want to hear out of this? And I just want to hear the truth at the end of the day. I want to make sure that I get the truth, because if I know where a song is shitty, why it's shitty, if it's me, if it's whatever, I can work on something, you know? If people are just being fake and trying to get me to help them with their problems or something and just, yeah, yeah, no, it's so good and I love it and I love how the blah, 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 blah. But I just had this thing happen and I was wondering what you would do if you were in this situation. Man, if you don't get the fuck out of my face with that, I am tired of the disingenuous. If you want something, be a good person. Be genuine. Hear me out. Don't just wait for your turn to talk if we're having a conversation, and use that in all conversations and in all things that you do in life. And you'll have a much calmer and happier life. So yeah, having Danny Boy there as a third party and Joe as a third party to listen to my stuff, not to mention everybody that was in stream, who I was like, bruh, you guys make great music. Having all of them there to be able to judge the music and just get their honest opinions on it, that meant the most, because based on their reactions, I take it. That's my heaven right there. I see what my music is doing and what effect it has on people who are actually listening. I can take that response from them and put it back into the music. I can apply it to everything I'm doing moving. I know I'm on the right track. I know I need to change this. I know blah blah blah. You know, and honestly, that was extremely insightful. If you guys ever watch this, I thank you. I appreciate you guys more than you know. Please don't stop being yourselves. Roll one up, smoke one for me. Love it. Love to see it. Love y'all. And yeah, City Bog is out now. City Bog, City Bog, City Pot Town, City Pot Town. Thank you for coming, Shitty Walk. Take your order, please. Shitty Pot Town, Shitty Walk, central piece of Shitty Pot Town. No, my album is finally out. You've been keeping track of this shit pod to pod. I've been trying to keep y'all updated. I've been working. I've been putting songs in. I've been taking songs out. I've been trying to make everything fit the vibe just right. And I locked in heavily, mixed and mastered them all. Still had to throw some out. It wasn't sounding right. And I got a 5 song album, City Bog. Bog City. Bog City, Bog City, big. City Bog is Japanese, what is it called? City pop, 80s Japanese city pop inspired album where I found a good amount of beats inspired by and sampling 80s J city pop. And really, it all started with me listening to a bunch of city pop for some reason. I forget what inspired me to do it exactly, but I saw some video of some lady in like a random spot in Japan. It's like a little, it looked like a little hole in the wall type of restaurant. She was singing in front of the restaurant. She sang Stay With Me by, I forget her name, Maria Takeuchi. Don't quote me on that. I think it's Mariah Takeuchi and Takeuchi. And that video was so nice. I think I watched it probably 10 times back to back. Just kept replaying it. And I hadn't even heard the actual song yet. Oh my God. Then I looked up the actual song and then a playlist of songs like it and Fly Day Chinatown, Midnight Pretenders, a whole rigmarole of dope shit. And that for some reason, it was probably like a week or two straight that I would randomly one day or, maybe 1 or 2 days off here and there, like just because it had been too many days. But I would go to work and I would be listening to the Japanese city pop, a nice Takeuchi playlist of it. I would listen to that probably at least 2, 3 hours a day for a good few weeks. And I was like, this shit makes me feel so good. I feel like if I can get some beats, if not exactly sampling my favorite songs from this, sounding similar, at least having a little bit of that, melody, I think it could make a lot of other people feel good listening to it too. And that's kind of how I approach pretty much everything I do nowadays, is if I'm feeling good doing it, if I'm enjoying it, if I feel like it's something I would listen to or watch, then I feel like I'm on the right track. I'm ready as long as, it doesn't sound like shit or something. I will drop that type of content almost religiously. That's what I lock into. That's my seize everything in this moment. You own it. You better never let it go. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. So when the opportunity comes for you, don't be living like somebody who you would hate to, or you would not enjoy the life of. If you're idolizing somebody, you want to live like somebody else or do whatever, just make sure that living their life for you isn't work, at least is a work that you would not mind doing because of the old adage that when you do something you love, you never work a day in your life. I know how it sounds, I know, but the older you get, the realer that shit will sound, and the realer it will be because it's true. A lot of these corny little cliche sayings are corny and cliche because usually they've been around for a while. They become corny and cliche when, your grandparents are saying them to you like they're cool and you're a little kid and you're like, what the fuck? you know, and a lot of the times these cliches and these little cornball sayings are actually true. And they apply to a lot, a lot of situations. They could help you, you know, already 20 minutes in and we haven't even done anything but talk to each other. Sometimes I feel like it's important to unload on the chat, unload on the camera real quick too. I haven't gotten anything ready really. I think I might have pulled up one news article anyway. We're gonna keep it short this week since we're trying to double drop, but let's try and see if we can find something on Reddit. Tennessee man pardoned by President Trump in January for his role in the J6 assault on the Capitol will nevertheless serve a life sentence for plotting to attack FBI agents and seeking to incite a civil war. Bury him under the jail. This can't be a lie or a setup at all. Why? Here. Why would anybody lie or try to set up? Why would the government ever be racist? Edward Kelly, who was the fourth U.S. Capitol rioter to enter the building, faced a separate prosecution for targeting federal agents while he was being investigated for his role in the Capitol attack. The Justice Department argued that Kelly created a kill list of FBI agents who investigated his role in the siege. Prosecutors said Kelly distributed this list along with videos containing images of certain FBI employees identified on the list to a co-conspirator as part of his mission. Fire the laser. Preparation H. Though Kelly was among more than 1,500 Capitol riot defendants pardoned on January 20th, 2025, the pardon did not extend to Kelly's conspiracy case in Tennessee. Last month, prosecutors argued Edward Kelly is remorseless and has shown neither a capacity nor desire to rehabilitate. On the contrary, Kelly not only believes the actions for which he was convicted were justified, but that his duty as a self-styled patriot compelled him to target East Tennessee law enforcement for assassination. Prosecutors also said the proof at trial established that Kelly targeted law enforcement because their anticipated role in the civil war that Kelly hoped to initiate, and because of his animus towards those who participated in his May 2022 arrest and search of his home. Yeah, this is just bullshit, bro. As soon as the prosecutors say something, they're just saying something to win. How can we take this as, anything else? Established Kelly targeted law enforcement because of their anticipated role stopping his civil war that he hoped to start. See how they do that? The news article tries to tell us that he's going to jail for trying to initiate or incite a civil war. And really, the Civil War wasn't anything besides the FBI getting mad at him and using some random shit they found from months before. Come on now. The defendant identified 36 individual federal, state, and local law enforcement personnel to target. He created a list of his targets, which included names, titles, and cell phone numbers. Kelly is one of several defendants who face prison time in separate cases, including some who have been arrested again after their pardons were issued. A Florida defendant was arrested later in January 2025 on a gun charge. Texas defendant who was freed from prison by the Trump pardon, later suspected of attempted child solicitation. Oh, he should go down if that's true. But point being, they just don't like these people. They have it out for them ever since they rioted at the Capitol, when really all it seems like, from everything I've seen and heard about this shit, it appears that most of these people were just like basically participants of a ride that like other people around them essentially potentially, undercover and plainclothes agents and officers of many types, leading the stampede, like to make Trump look bad because it was Kill Trump back at that time. It was his picture with the little Hitler mustache drawn in. I don't know. What else is going on? Doctors and public health organizations sue Kennedy over vaccine policy change. Man, fuck doctors and fuck public health organizations. I hope they burn in hell. And yes, yes, I hope they burn in hell. No, I mean, I I'm strongly against everything that doctors and public health organizations push on people because I know I've been in lots of hospitals. I grew up having to be in a lot of hospitals and talk to a lot of pediatricians and different doctors, and you learn that a lot of them are very much just at work. They don't care about helping people. It's past that point to them. They're definitely just doing their job at a job that they clock in and clock out for, and they're heavily incentivized and motivated to give you certain shit without caring what the side effects might be, without caring if you're telling them you know something that they can offer you that will work for you if given in the right, if it's worked for you before, why not now? And they're like, no, let's give you an SSRI. Oh, no, actually, you don't like SSRIs, but we want you on SSRIs. How about an NRSI? How about the norepinephrine inhibitor, blah, 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 which is essentially the same fucking thing. I mean, I can't commend Kennedy enough for trying to take on Big Pharma because Big Pharma is a big bitch. And I hope they burn it. I hope Kennedy can get it right, regardless of what it does to prices of everything. Like, we should have been taking ketchup out of the lunchroom. We should have been required ketchup companies to actually use organic tomatoes. Sure, add a fucking preservative that isn't going to give us cancer if that's what you need for shelf life. But there are preservatives that aren't retardedly unhealthy and that we can test, you know? But they want the cheapest, or the people giving us those preservatives are incentivizing us to use them, blah blah blah. A lot of blahs this pod, guys. Sorry about that, but we'll wrap it up here real quick. Firefighters from Mexico respond to Texas Hill Country flooding, marking an international response. There's a picture of them. There was a big flood that happened the last 2 days, I believe, in Texas out of nowhere. Middle of summer, it starts raining and they get huge floods. A little girl's summer camp, a fucking bunch of apartments and houses. I think it's over 100 people reported dead, confirmed dead now, but the numbers are gonna go up if the water hasn't even, subsided yet, if the tide hasn't rolled back in or out. But it's insane what Mother Nature can do. And I can't help but to think that, these floods and stuff might have something to do with us messing with the weather as much as we do, with us cloud seeding, probably daily now in the UAE and in the Middle East in general, probably, a lot of Africa where they need rain. And I'm not against them, cloud seeding for fresh waters, so because it's probably cheaper than desalination. But if it's going to have these kind of effects where in the middle of summer, a random part of Texas, it's not Louisiana, New Orleans, even if it was like completely unexpected. Okay, New Orleans is technically like built under the water level, so what the fuck? Let the jesters dance in the waters of their ancestors. But I don't know. I haven't looked into it enough. Maybe Texas Hill Country floods almost every year, but this was just a bad year, and I haven't been informed. I'm not sure. But, you know, respect to these guys and all the people fighting the fires out there and the families and loved ones of everybody who's lost somebody in this and who's still looking for their lost loved ones. We wish them well. I wish you guys well. I hope that you guys can rebuild, and I hope that the insurance companies have no problem paying you guys back your deserved money, because clearly this isn't just an act of God or whatever they try to get away with, you know? But what can we do besides help them however we can? There's a lot of donation sites set up for this. Just Google Texas Hill Country flood donations, and I'm sure there's some .govs that will pop up very quick. I saw that, I think it was the Rockets, it might have been the football team out of Houston, donated 500,000. That's big. Croatian right-winger singer Marko Perkovic and fans perform pro-Nazi salute at massive concert. Meanwhile, where the grass is greener, Croatian right-winger Marko Perkovic and fans are doing the Nazi salute, probably for real. You know, Elon has tried to stomp on everybody saying that he was doing a Nazi salute, and he's been saying, no, that was not my intention. Stop. These people, I don't think that, I don't think these people are too keen about hiding. These people might have been doing it in righteous fury or whatever. You know, what can we say? Oh yeah, and P. Diddy, he's not getting out, but the verdict was reached. He was only found guilty of like transportation for sex and soliciting prostitution, I believe. I think he's already served like 10 months, and they're gonna try to give him like another 20 or 30 months at most. It might be like 31 to 41 months total, I think, is what I saw. You know, it's not my bag. I He had Brian Steele, the same lawyer that got Young Thug out. So whatever that means, I'm sure is way over my head. And I don't know if we wish Diddy well, since he probably for sure did a lot of that and definitely beat up on Cassie. But I hope that everyone in that situation finds solace somehow and that it gets rectified properly. If he didn't do all the things they said he did, I hope it gets resolved properly. If he did all the things that he's accused of, I hope that he gets, you know, resolved properly as well. What can we say? Besides for him that we're not sure if we actually wish him well. But anyways, good night. Love you guys. See you next week.